Yeah, I'm Lykouria. I've been practicing in London since 2002. Before that I was in Chicago for 10 years, mostly working for Helmut Jahn. And so I left at that time and started Lykouria here in London. Basically, we are a small studio, kind of boutique studio, but we do a lot of different things. We're doing architecture, interior architecture, product design, furniture design, and for the last 2.5 years, film. So it's a bit of a multidisciplinary practice, and basically what we're doing is learning from one thing and applying it to another in a kind of Da Vinci way. So we're not specialists in the kind of traditional sense of, you know, what kind of architect are you? And it's hard to choose one. Really, I'm looking forward to the next project because there's always this kind of yearning to elaborate on, you know, on your progress, to do what's next. You know, design begins with an open mind. That's what I say, because it creates opportunities for something to happen which you don't expect. The important thing about being contemporary is being contemporary. I think you have to acknowledge the times that you're in. We have to live the present and identify ourselves with our times so that we're leaving behind something which represents us. It's a very hard thing to do, especially now, because I think there isn't a dominant way of thinking in architecture. Society is very fragmented. You can see that in music and the arts in general. You don't have a dominant style that's kind of overriding everything. And so every time you do something, you're sort of on your own. And I think that in a way it takes a lot more courage to be contemporary in that way, because you don't really get permission to do what you do or any kind of support. And then there's always the kind of rally against modern architecture or design because people think it's cold or whatever. And I can see the point because there have been a lot of bad examples in the past, but I think going back into the past is not the answer, and the inspiration has to come from today. London is old. I mean, London is 2,000 years old. It's a very old city, and in a way, the city itself is a piece of architecture. It's an incredible place. Just walking down any street, you find treasures everywhere. You know, stuff that's not in the guidebooks, things that are just hidden and very old and maybe insignificant in some way, but they're there. They have a history of their own. So I think the city itself is quite unusual and striking, and it's still growing, and it's still alive. But you could also feel that age, especially the way the roads are kind of zigzagging everywhere, and you have this very modern urban density and this very ancient kind of topography that's carved 2,000 years ago and is still here. It's a very unusual place. The human mind, because you know, what I was saying earlier about experience in architecture and the things that we're creating, what I'm trying to do is get into people's heads in a way, do things in a way that are really impactful, that influence a person's emotions in a very positive way, give an experience of beauty or poetry through what we do. And I mean, I think there's some clues in the ancient works and Gothic cathedrals which, you know, are mathematical masterpieces, or in Bach, similarly. I think there's a real magic in those things, and I think that this is where we should all be striving to reach every time we do anything, whether it's a door handle or chair, an airport or a high-rise. I think these things really count. And you know, creativity is something that also fascinates me because it's the essence of our lives, and it's kind of an everyday challenge. You know, you're facing the blank page every time you start a new project. And it's pretty daunting, and then something happens. And it kind of bugs me actually that so many people are trying to quantify the creative experience, because people want to reduce it to something scientific or rational that they could explain in a kind of chemical way or a mechanical way how creativity works, and there are countless books on the subject. And I know very well, very certain of the fact that it's got nothing to do with the rational mind. I think these kind of strokes of genius are gifts, and there's no way to capture that lightning in a bottle.